Tales of the Grim. Fire at the Dock. Part 1. The lights of the dock had long since darkened by the time Haynes drove past them. He kept the headlights low, hoping to avoid attention. Hayward Logistics was just ahead, nestled amidst metal fences and perched at the edge of the misty canal. He frowned at the sight of its bleak exterior, thinking back on it as he watched the supposed dock workers patrolling its grounds.
How often has this place been brought up regarding the Gregories all these years?
The question in his head played aloud as he watched the grim demeanors of the men walking the fence. He parked the car out of sight, readying the service pistol that had been hidden by his seat, and checked his phone one last time. Burdock had not responded yet, and the backup he'd requested was still nowhere to be seen. As he left the car, he prayed they'd arrive before Elliot forced them into anything stupid.
Okay, go.
Seeing his chance as the guards passed by, he crossed the street, checking for any cameras he may have missed. Slipping among the crates and parked cars, he slipped past the dockhands to reach the edge of the large building. A clutch of men ahead were talking among themselves, openly carrying sawn-offs and hunting rifles. He cursed, annoyed at how Elliot had charged straight into this situation. As luck had had it, however, the guards moved away, complaining of the cold. Scurrying from his hiding spot, he scampered through the unlocked door of a storage shed, braving the chance to check his phone and once again demand Burdock hurry up. A message on his phone showed a single text from Elliots.
Warehouse 3, crane closest to canal.
Blunt as ever?
He put the phone away and peered through the battered window, checking his bearings before ducking past another pair of patrols. Working his way past the warehouses in turn, he came to a large security fence that stood in a ring around the third building. He considered the barbed wire at the top, rubbing at the scar on his belly from the last time he'd attempted that endeavor. Deciding against it, he pressed on, hoping for a weak point or an opening in the fence. Instead, up ahead, he saw the crumpled form of an unconscious dockhand by a small gate. The padlock was broken and discarded beside him, and Haynes surveyed the scene quickly in case it had been noticed. As he did so, a foul smell caught his nostrils, and he turned to see a flashlight blinking from a nearby tool shed.
Running late, aren't ya?
I stink. Call for a sewer or something?
Well, as it happens.
Seriously, you weak. The hell possessed you to take the sewer?
Runoff pipe's over there, right by the dock. Not all of us have guns. You know, indirect works a bit better.
Indirect? But what happens to the poor bastard at the gate there?
Elliot smirked, and the light caught his features as Haynes saw a gaunt mockery of the man he once knew. His cheeks were sallow, hidden beneath a mat of thick hair and bristling stubble. Heavy, dark bags hung beneath his eyes, and the exhaustion was plain on his face.
We need to go. Third truck arrived a moment ago carrying prisoners and men in hoods. Keep your back up. I've wasted enough time.
Wait, do you have a plan at least?
Nah.
Know where he is? Or how many people in there?
No.
Bloody hell, Elliot! I knew you had a death wish, but this is madness. You can't just barge in there and hope for the best. Have you seen what those bastards are carrying around?
Look, it doesn't matter. We need to go. Now. We can't wait. We just can't wait.
Let us scout it out first. At least know what we're dealing with. You mentioned runoff pipes?
You think I'd be here if they came out inside the place?
Fair point. There. We climb up the crane and jump onto the roof. No one's around there. Should give us some cover.
Alright, let's go.
He started off before Haynes could object, slipping quietly towards the two men stood smoking quietly by a gate blocking their way. Stopping only for Haynes to catch up, Elliot jumped the first, pulling him back against the fence and into a chokehold. Before the other could react, Haynes' pistol butt knocked him to the floor. Moments later, his fellow joined him as Elliot let the man slide from his grip. He tested the gate, growling in annoyance as he found it locked.
Forgetting something?
Elliot passed him an impatient expression as the detective jangled the keys he'd taken from the guard. Putting the unconscious guards to one side, they slipped past the gate, stopping only to catch their breath before climbing up the precarious iron ladder along the side of the dock crane. Haynes was by far the slower, his dislike for heights causing him to stop regularly as he tried to force himself on. The crane stood alongside the warehouse, its long arm extending out over the main doors and the edge of the roof. Reaching the top first, Elliot fought the urge to charge on alone, sighing and turning to offer a hand to Haynes as the detective struggled.
Almost at the top.
It's the bottom I'm worried about.
Elliot smiled and grabbed him, pulling him up onto the small platform that led to the crane cabin. A narrow walkway extended past it, reaching through the arm and out across the roof. Below them, the warehouse doors suddenly began to open, and light spilled out from the space within. Armed men milled around, overseeing the loading of a ship near the dock. Elliot recognized more than a few of the workers, dismayed at how many had been driven into the gang's arms in hope of an out from their broken lives.
Come on.
You okay?
Oh, peachy.
Carefully, they picked their way along the crane's arm, finally coming to a point where they could leap down onto the nearby roof. Elliot noted how Haynes was chewing his lip and smirked a little as he fearlessly took the jump before turning with a nonchalant shrug. The detective followed more gingerly, almost slipping as he landed before Elliot caught and steadied him. As Haynes caught his footing, Elliot offered him a hand and a smile.
This was a terrible idea.
Rear now, try and enjoy it.
He didn't wait for Haynes's reply, and moved to a small, flat roof near the back of the building, dropping down to find a series of broken windows and a locked door. He forced the window aside, slipping in as Haynes followed. The inside of the warehouse was packed. Thousands of steel drums and unmarked boxes were stacked in great towers that covered most of the floor. A narrow metal walkway ran the upper edge of the massive building, eventually leading to a set of offices at the far side. Men and women busied themselves with the boxes, loading them onto pallets to be taken by the forklift trucks. While they worked, they seemed deliberately oblivious to the line of kneeling, hooded men in the center of the room. Elliot felt a surge of anger at the sight, as more bound and hooded prisoners were added to the others, pushed into place by gruff-looking men carrying shotguns and pistols. Haynes's attention was focused instead on the barrels.
Those bastards are smuggling Sedis. They've been poisoning hundreds of places. How the hell did they get this much of it?
Elliot ignored him as the detective began furiously texting for aid on his phone. Instead, Elliot's focus was on the prisoners, as a woman emerged from the offices at the far corner. Under escort, she walked slowly towards them, her face obscured by a porcelain mask. With her was another man, dressed in a coat-tailed business suit and wiry, dark glasses. The hoods were torn from the men one by one as the pair approached, moving up and down the line as though on inspection.
Mike.
Ignoring Haynes' attempt to stop him, Elliot clambered down, determined to edge closer as he strained to hear what was being said over the noise of the workmen.
This could have been easier, gentlemen. If you had only paid on time, well, we wouldn't have had this problem now, would we? Sadly, I have to call in the debt.
She looked to the man in the dark glasses, and he nodded to one of the men. The woman in porcelain nodded, and at once a pair of burly gangsters picked up the protesting man and dragged him away. Ignoring his pleas, the woman turned again to the man in glasses, who only shook his head dismissively.
I assume then that none of you have the money on you.
She reached out her hand to the larger thug beside her, who immediately handed her a power drill. She revved it menacingly, walking up and down the line of prisoners as they began whimpering. She stopped in front of one, cupping his chin almost lovingly in one hand.
Then I'll have to take other payment.
She nodded, and the bags were returned to their heads. Giving the tool one last rev, she reached down to the man before her. In one shrill motion, the drill snapped forward through the burlap sack and into the soft meat. A wet crack filled the air before being drowned out by a shrill scream, and the howl of the power drill, the bag contorting and thrashing as it was stained red from the inside. Men screamed and unseen voices chuckled as the drill was wrenched free, spraying grey matter about the room as the body slumped. Even as she flicked the gore from the drill bit, Haynes raised his gun, aiming for the masked figure in horror, anger, and disgust. Elliot suddenly moved forward, dropping down to the floor and running. Before Haynes or anyone else could react, the main door blasted open in a burst of flame.